understanding the various design softwares. That's the part 2. Okay, good. So the reason this is important for you to understand the various design softwares is so that you know what software to use for what design work. You see, now this part is very important. So if someone tells you I need a logo, you know the particular software you use to design that logo. If someone tells you I need a poster, you know the particular software you use to design that poster. Now let me tell you, although a lot of times we try to use one software for everything, the truth is the graphic design softwares are different, okay, and they are specialized, okay. There is what you use for logos and infographics and some other ones, and there is what you use for pictures and posters and all of that, right? Ideally, right? And I'll tell you why shortly. Let's go into part 2, understanding graphic design softwares. So graphic design softwares are built for different functions, like I already said, hence they function differently, right? They are built for different functions, right? And they can be classified into two, right? Design softwares are broadly classified into two. We have vector based software, and then you have pixel based or raster based software. Vector based software and pixel based or raster based software. So we're going to look at this one after the other, right? So let's start from the pixel based software. Okay, what's the pixel based graphic design software? So what's a pixel, right? A pixel is if the smallest element in a display device, right? It's a very tiny dot. Okay, what's a pixel? Like your computer or your phone screen, as you can see it, is made up of several tiny pixels. Several tiny pixels, okay? So but you can't see those pixels, right? That is what a pixel is, right? Now, when you begin to zoom the tiny, when you begin to see the pixels when you zoom into pixel graphics, okay? You begin to see the pixels when you zoom into pixel graphics, right? So, now let me tell you an example of pixel-based graphic design software. Photoshop is an example of pixel-based graphic design software, right? So when you finish designing in Photoshop, if you notice when you zoom in on your work in Photoshop, you start seeing it pixelates all those tiny boxes. Now let me show you what I mean here. So I'm going to show you what pixels are like, okay? When you say pixel based graphics, I'm just going to show you what pixels are like, right? So just take a look. So now this image, let's zoom into this image, right? Let's zoom in. The more we zoom in, you can see the edges have started becoming ragged or zigzag, the edges, right? So let's keep zooming in, right? If you look down there, here you see we're on 3200% zoom, right? And that's the highest zoom on Photoshop. So you can see these boxes, right? If you take a closer look, you'd see this color of this box is different from this box, different from this, different from this. So this each box here is what we call a pixel. Each box is called a pixel. So when you say pixel based graphics, you mean that it makes use of these tiny boxes to store information on that picture. Okay, good. So now we know what so now we know what pixel based graphics are. You can see when you zoom in, you see those very tiny dots, right? It's usually used for photo editing, digital posters, web interfaces, right? So the softwares you use for pixel based graphics, the softwares you use for pixel based graphics include Photoshop and Corel Photo Paint. These two softwares are pixel based, okay? These two softwares are pixel based softwares. Then they also have pixel based file formats. You have JPEG, GIF, and PNG. All these formats are pixel based formats. Okay. Now let's go. Now let's go to vector based formats. Now, vector-based software, right? Now, what are vector images? They are basically images that are created by mathematical calculations, okay, from one point to another. So, for pixels, the images or the details of the images are stored in little boxes called pixels. That's for pixel-based graphics. They are stored in little boxes called pixels, right? For vector-based, they are not stored in little boxes. They are more or less like from mathematical calculations from one point to another, right? So, and due to the fact that they are constructed through mathematical calculations, you can scale them to any level. Okay, that means if you zoom in on them, you won't see those boxes as you see in a pixel based graphic. So the image from vector based are scalable, right? That means even if you always zoom in, you would see the same image. Okay, and also, now let me show you what I mean by the image is scalable, right? So I've opened that same image in Illustrator. Okay, now let's zoom in. Remember in Photoshop here, the zoom percent is 3200, and then you can see it pixelating, right? Good. In Illustrator, this same image, let's zoom in. Okay, so I'm zooming in Illustrator. You can see the lines are still very intact, and we are on 2300%, right? Let's zoom in some more. We're on 8000% and it's still intact. Let's zoom in some more. You can see the lines are still intact and we're on 64,000%. Photoshop gives you 3200, right? Illustrator gives you 20 times more magnification than that, right? And the image is still the same. Okay, we are not seeing any boxes here. Now, why is the knowledge of this important, right? The knowledge of this is very important because it will help you know what design to do with what. For instance, you may think that, oh, these vector based images are the way out, since you can zoom them in and you won't lose detail of your image, right? But the truth is, there are certain things you can't use a vector based graphic software for. Okay, for instance, when you want to do photo editing, you cannot do that on a vector based graphics. Okay, you can't do that on a vector based graphics. You have to do that on a pixel based, because pictures are saved in, or rather, when you talk about you want to edit a photo, because photos are usually pixels, right? So you cannot do photo editing with a vector based graphic. So although you can convert a vector based graphic to a pixel based, okay, it's called rasterization. So when we say, oh, we are rasterizing, that's what you're doing. You're converting a vector based to a pixel based. Okay, good. Now, what are the uses of vector based? They're used for logos, illustration, web interfaces, right? So now, when you use a vector based a vector based software to design, that means you want that your design to be able to scale without distorting. Now, an example where you need it is when you are designing logos, right? Because you don't want the logo to mistakenly change. That logo, you use the logo on something very, very small thing, like, let me say, a lapel pin, or the label of a shirt, right? Or even the icon of your web design, of your web page. You use that logo. And also that logo, you want to be able to print it on a billboard when you want to. Okay, that's why logos are designed with vector based software. Okay, because you want to be able to scale them at any point in time. Illustrations also are designed with vector based software for the same reason, right? They are designed with vector based software. You can also design posters in vector based software. You can also design posters in pixel based as well. Okay, so now the point is, you know when to use what. So that's why, if you notice, during PIW, I never said I was going to teach you how to design a logo with Photoshop, and that's because it is not the ideal tool for designing logos. Okay, Photoshop is a pixel based software. Any logo you design in Photoshop will pixelate. So that's what vector based graphics are used for. That's what you use the vector based graphic softwares for, graphic design softwares for. So what softwares are these vector based? Right, you have Adobe Illustrator, right? This is the logo for Adobe Illustrator AI, and then you have Corel Draw Graphics Suite, right? Now, Adobe Illustrator, right, is a vector based software for Adobe. Corel Draw, of course, for Corel Draw, right? Now Photoshop is a pixel base for Adobe, while Illustrator is the vector based software for Adobe. Now, CorelDRAW, on the other hand, their vector base is CorelDRAW Graphics Suite, while their pixel base is Corel Photo Paint, as we already discussed earlier. So Corel Photo Paint is different from CorelDRAW Graphics Suite, right? Good. Now we already know the pixel file formats. That's JPEG, GIF, and PNG, right? So what are the vector-based formats? You have .ai. .ai means Adobe Illustrator, right? Adobe Illustrator file. You have .cdr, that's CorelDRAW file. Then you have EPS. Also, this is also another important vector-based file. And then you have .pdf. Now, PDF is more or less what I would call like a universal connector, right? What that means is that when you design in Photoshop, right? When you design in Photoshop or you design in Illustrator, and you want to send it to someone using CorelDRAW, your best bet is to send it in PDF, right? In fact, with PDF, even someone that doesn't even have any of the two design softwares can open it. Okay, PDF is a vector-based file format. It preserves the quality of your image. Okay, so PDF is also very important. Okay, it's a very important vector-based file format. Okay, so this is also showing you the difference between vector and raster. You see, at the same magnification, vector based is still still shows a very sharp and crisp edge, while your raster or your pixel base is already pixelating and is showing you the boxes at the same magnification. Right, so you have an assignment here. Your assignment is you give 5 differences between a vector based and pixel based graphics. 5 differences between vector based and pixel based graphics. 5. There are more than 5. They are even up to 10 safe, right? In fact, I've mentioned a lot of them, right? I mentioned your vector based are scalable, pixel based pixelate on scaling, right? Good. So that's just one of it. You have to look for the differences, 5 differences, and then you send to me. Okay, good. Now, the reason why, like I said, the reason why you have to know the vector base and pixel base is so you know what app to use when you're using what. For this lesson, we're not going to talk about the vector based softwares, right? Because every single thing we need to do for as regards the scheme of this course can be done in our Photoshop. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, right? Every single thing we're going to cover can be covered in Photoshop. So vector based graphics, we're not going to deal with vector based graphics. Okay, good. So now like I already said, when you have your Photoshop, right, you want to work on an image that you would have to print on a very large canvas. Say you want to print on a billboard, you want to print on the body of a truck or BRT, you have to ensure you increase the resolution of that image. Okay, you have to increase the resolution on that image. Resolution is just you saying the amount of dots that should take a particular piece of the element, right? The amount of dots that should make up that element. That's what you're saying when you say resolution, right? So usually for Photoshop, you are at best increasing the resolution to even as high as 300 when you want to print on something really large, right? You won't go wrong by 300, increasing to as large as 300 or even more, right? Depends, even more. Okay. Also, for design that will go largely on screen, your best bet most times is pixel based graphics. So that said, this is your assignment. Give 5 differences. Okay. Now let's move on to the next and the final section of this module, which is design size for different purposes. Design size for different purposes. So these are the common paper size I'm about showing you right now. For A2, this is the size for A2. This is the size for A3, right? This is your A4 size. A4 is what you use for letterhead and brochure or brochure. This is your A5 size or handbills. Use A5 for handbills. That's flyers. Flyers are A5 size, and this is your business card size. Okay, good. Now, but that notwithstanding, there are some sizes that are not here. Right? For instance, roll-up banner, the size is not here, right? And that's because there are different sizes of roll-up banners, right? So you just ensure you ask the client, okay, what roll-up banner size are you using? Okay, that way you can then design for that purpose. Also, social media sizes are not here, right? The reason social media sizes are not here is because they can change at any time, right? So you have Instagram header size, Facebook header size, Instagram post size, right? You have all those things. You have Twitter also, Twitter header size and all of that, right? So now for all those ones, just simply Google Instagram header size, right? So if you want to design a header for someone, Instagram header size, okay? Facebook header size, that kind of a thing for social media. Okay, all those sizes. Any other size you need that is not here, you can as well just Google it. Okay, Google it and you'd get up-to-date results on that particular size. Okay, all right. So with that, we've come to the end of module 1. Now in module 2, we're going to be talking about, in module 1 we spoke about elements. Module 2, we're going to be talking a lot more on principles. Principles are different from elements, right? Now, principles are like instructions on how the elements should be placed. Okay? They're like instructions on how the elements should be placed. Okay? So those are very important, right? I'm also going to be telling you the mafia principles in design in the next module. Stay tuned, right? But for now, don't forget your assignment. 5 differences between vector-based and pixel-based software. Okay, good. I'd like to see what you get on that. Okay, all right then. Thank you so much for listening. And like I said, this is the boring stuff. But stay with it. It will make a lot of sense when we actually start practicing the things we're putting together. Do have a great day. See you